Hi friends, if I ask you to choose a health insurance policy from two policies, policy A and policy B, which will you choose? Here are some details. Both policy is giving you cover of 10 lakh rupees. Both are boosting a claim settlement ratio of 99.5%. But policy A is charging you 20,000 rupees premium versus policy B that is charging you 30,000 premium. Out of these two policy, which will you choose? You may say, Rahul, are you all right? Of course, policy A, because it is only 20,000 rupees. It is much cheaper than policy B. But what if I tell you that if your hospital bill comes out to be 5 lakh rupees and policy A is likely to settle only 1 lakh rupee and policy B is likely to settle 4 lakh rupees, which policy will you choose now? Of course, policy B. Again, you may have a question. Rahul, did you not say that the both policies have a claim settlement ratio of 99.5%? Absolutely. And this is where a lot of people get fooled by medical insurance policies, T's and C's. And to give you some data, out of 10 policies, 5 medical insurance policies, either the claims are rejected or their claim amount is reduced massively as per this data. And this happens because people don't understand that cheap insurance policy is not necessarily the best insurance policy. Therefore, I'm creating this video to bring you 10 comprehensive checks you must do. And if you check out these 10 features, your hospital bill is not likely to get massively reduced, which is happening for many other people. And the reason I'm not telling you the best health insurance plans is because number one, what is best for you may not be best for me or for somebody else, because all of us may have very different health insurance requirements. And number two is that time to time health insurance providers will change their T&Cs. Therefore, a best health insurance plan today may not be best health insurance plan tomorrow. Hence, I'm going to give you comprehensive checks and the concepts that you need to follow when it comes to choosing your health insurance policy so that your hospital bill never gets reduced massively as you're seeing with other people. So without even wasting single second, let's start. The first feature in my view your policy must have is restoration feature. It is extremely important. Don't take any policy without having restoration benefit. Here is an example. Let's say a family of 4 people, husband, wife, son and daughter. They have a cover of 10 lakh rupees. Now God forbid husband needs to undergo a surgery and the cost of that surgery is around 6 lakh rupees. Now the entire family is only left with 4 lakhs of cover for the remaining year. And it is entirely possible that husband might need to get hospitalized again in the same year. Wife, son, daughter might hit some other issues. Therefore, they are very exposed right now, only having 4 lakh rupees in their insurance kitty. Now, this restoration benefit, what it does is that it can increase this 4 lakh back to 10 lakh rupees. And that is a massive benefit that restoration feature brings you. And because of this restoration feature, this family doesn't need to go for a 50 lakh or 60 lakh rupees of a health insurance cover. They can very well go with something like 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs as long as they have a restoration feature in their policy. You may say that, Rahul, isn't it too good to be true? Of course it is. There are 3 catches that you need to watch out for even if you're going with the restoration benefit. Number 1 is, when does this restoration benefit actually kicks in? Number 1 is on partial exhaustion of your sum cover amount, or number 2 is complete exhaustion of your base cover amount. Let's take an example. For example, let's say you have a cover of 10 lakh rupees and you have both the options, partial or complete. Now your first bill comes out to be, let's say, 6 lakh rupees. Now in the partial, what happens is immediately this 6 lakh rupees is restored back to 10 lakh rupees. But in the complete option, it will not be restored back to 10 lakh rupees because you still have 4 lakhs remaining. Now imagine if you have another bill, bill number 2 comes out to be 8 lakh rupees, then what happens in the partial example, you already had your cover topped up or restored back to 10 lakh rupees. Therefore, you don't need to pay anything from your pocket. While in case of complete option, you only have 4 lakhs left. Therefore, out of this 8 lakh bill, 4 lakh will be covered by your health insurance policy and 4 lakh you need to pay from your pocket. And only after this, your restoration will kick in. But by the time it's too late and you will have to pay out from your pocket. So please go for partial exhaustion of your base cover amount if you're going for restoration benefit. Then comes the second point, which is restoration for any illness or different illness. Again, very important. Have a look at this example here. Let's say your cover is 10 lakh rupees and let's say you need to undergo a heart surgery and your bill comes out to be 6 lakh rupees. Now what happens in any illness situation is that your cover will be restored back to 10 lakh for any illness, no matter what happens in the future. While in case of different illness, you will now have remaining 4 lakhs for heart related treatments, and you can have any other illness that can be covered for 10 lakhs. So assuming that you get hospitalized again for heart illness and your second bill comes out to be 7 lakh rupees, what happens in the first condition, which is any illness option? you will not need to pay anything from your pocket because your cover amount was restored back to 10 lakh rupees for any illness, doesn't matter. But in case of different illness situation, you will have to pay from your pocket because this bill belongs to the heart related hospitalization, and for the heart related hospitalization you only had 4 lakhs remaining. You will have to shell down 3 lakhs from your pocket. Therefore, always go for any illness restoration benefit. And the third and the last one is restoration only one time or unlimited times. So that is self-explanatory. We have to go for restoration unlimited times because if we get hospitalized 2, 3, 4 times in a year, God forbid, then at least we are covered for that as well. There are a few insurance companies that provides restoration benefit. For example, HDFC Ergo Optima Secure, Care Supreme, Niva Bupa Reassure 2.0, Aditya Birla Active 1 Max. Again, I'm not giving you recommendations. I am really pointing you to a direction so that you can explore these policies further because all of them comes with the restoration benefit. If you're not sure how to explore these policies, you can book a 30 minutes free consultation call with Ditto Insurance. Ditto Insurance is an honest and no spam insurance platform revolutionizing the insurance industry. Because of their excellent customer service, Ditto Insurance has received 4.9 Google rating out of 5 with more than 10,000 ratings. They are backed by Zerodha, so you can trust them. They have various resources on their website to help you understand health insurance. For example, Health Insurance 101, Policy Comparison, and Health Insurance Checklist. The jargons are explained in simple English so that everybody can understand. They also help their customers during the documentation and claim process. You can book a free 30 minutes consultation with an expert advisor who is going to understand your needs and going to suggest you best solutions for you without pushing you. Go to the link in the description or in the pinned comments, book a call with expert advisor, sit back and wait for their call to come. With that, let's move to the second feature, that is room rent limit. Room rent limit can have a massive dent in your hospital bill. Let me explain in a very simple language. So let's say there are two policies, policy A and policy B. Policy A says that there are no room rent limit, meaning if you get hospitalized, you don't need to worry about which room you are selecting for your hospitalization. You are absolutely free to go with any room that you want. While in policy B, let's say there is a limit of 1% room rent limit. What does this 1% mean? It simply means that if your total policy cover is, let's say, 5 lakh rupees, then you can take only 1% of 5 lakh rupees, that is 5,000 rupees. So up to 5,000 rupees of room rent is what your policy is going to cover. More than 5,000 rupees per day of room rent, you will have to bear from your pocket. Now, let's say that you get hospitalized for 5 days and hospital says to you that the only room they have right now is 10,000 rupees per day room. Whether you take it or not, up to you really. Of course, you're not going to wait for your treatment. You might say that, okay, I like the doctor here, so I'm going to go with this 10,000 rupees room rent per day. For 5 days, your room rent comes out to be how much? 10,000 into 5 days, which is 50,000 rupees. And all of this 50,000 rupees will be covered by your policy A. But in the second example, what happens is 1% of 5 lakhs is 5,000 rupees per day. So for 5 days, you are only eligible for 25,000 rupees of room rent. But since you have taken a room of 10,000 rupees per night, then 10,000 rupees into 5 is 50,000 rupees. Remaining 25,000 you will have to pay from your pocket. And more importantly, this 25,000 rupees is a deduction which is 50% from 50,000 rupees. So almost 50% deduction is getting applied on your room rent. But the $1 million thing that people don't know is that this 50% deduction is also going to get applied on almost all of the hospital bill components. For example, if your doctor fee was around 1 lakh rupees, your other tests and charges were around 1 lakh rupees, and if your total bill comes out to be 5 lakh rupees, you will have to pay 50% of this 5 lakh rupees from your own pocket in room rent limit policy, because this 50% deduction is called proportionate deduction on your almost entire hospital bill, leaving 1 or 2 items aside, for example, medicines, etc. Remaining will attract 50% deduction. Therefore, do not fall on the trap of only 1% room rent limit. It is not only 1% room rent limit. It is actually massively going to impact your hospital bill. Therefore, only go for policies, no matter how costly they are. Always go for a policy which has no room rent limit. There shouldn't be any T's and C's around it. With that, let's move to number 3, which is disease sublimit, a massive trap that a lot of people are falling into. Let's take an example. Let's say you have two policies, policy A and policy B. Both policies are charging you 6,000 premium only, but policy A is giving you a cover of 10 lakh rupees and policy B is giving you a cover of only 5 lakh rupees. Which policy are you going to choose? Please don't choose any of these unless you understand what are the disease sublimits. So disease sublimits simply means that there are limits applied to a lot of disease, and therefore you cannot claim more than the prescribed limit. For example, let's say if cardiovascular disease has a limit of 2 lakh rupees in your policy, means that if you have to undergo a hospitalization because of a heart issue, even if your policy cover is 10 lakh rupees, you cannot be claiming more than 2 lakh rupees because there is a disease sublimit that is applied on the cardiovascular problems. Now tell me, what is the use of having a 10 lakh rupees of cover when you cannot fully utilize it? Therefore, disease sublimit is a massive trap. If an insurance company or an agent is telling you, I am giving you the best premium, lowest premium, please make sure you're asking them, what is the disease sublimit in my policy? Show me that particular T's and C's, and only go for those insurance policies that have minimum disease sublimit. Ideally, there should not be any disease sublimit, but please make sure you read the T and C's. With that, let's move to number 4, which is the waiting periods. You won't believe this data, which is 30% claims are rejected because the claim relates to a treatment that comes under waiting period as per the data compiled by Ditto Insurance. So there are primarily 2 types of waiting periods that we need to watch out for. Number 1 is pre-existing disease waiting period, which is called PED waiting period, and number 2 is specific disease waiting period. Pre-existing disease waiting period is very simple, that if you already have a pre-existing disease, then you need to wait for a certain number of time, for example 2 years or 1 year or whatever is the policy period, before you can claim for any treatment under your health insurance policy. Now a lot of people even don't declare their pre-existing disease, thinking that insurance company is not going to find out. But let me tell you that insurance company is extremely smart. It is definitely going to find out. For example, if you, let's say, have high cholesterol and you don't declare it, and it leads to a heart issue later on down the line, then definitely health insurance company is going to ask you this question, that why did you not declare about high cholesterol, because it is linked to the health issues. So please make sure you declare all your pre-existing health conditions. Minimum this waiting period is, better it is for you. And nowadays a lot of health insurance companies are providing pre-existing disease riders, and these riders can reduce your waiting period to a minimum possible for specific disease. So therefore, please make sure you inquire about any pre-existing disease riders if you have any pre-existing health conditions. If you're not yet sure, call Ditto Insurance. The expert advisor will understand your situations and will accordingly guide you. Then comes number 2, which is specific disease waiting period. So there are few diseases that are not life threatening. For example, hernia or joint replacement. These are not life threatening and a person can wait for 1 year or 2 years. Therefore, a cooling off period applies as soon as you take a health insurance policy. It might be 1 year, it might be 2 years. What you need to do is check out in your health insurance policy what is the period that is applied for specific disease waiting period. Minimum it is, better it is. And also check the list. How many illnesses have you got listed in your health insurance policy? Extremely important. People don't check this and later on they get caught by the surprise. So make sure waiting periods you need to nail down as number 4. With that, let's move to number 5, which is top up and super top up. So top up and super top up, they provide you additional cover. For example, let's say you have a base policy of 10 lakh rupees and you take out a top up policy of 20 lakh rupees. So your total cover now becomes 30 lakh rupees. But here is what you need to know. Scenario number 1, let's say now you get a hospital bill of 19 lakh rupees. Out of this 19 lakh rupees, 10 lakh is covered by your base policy, no problem. Remaining 9 lakh rupees now can be covered by your top-up policy. This is the main use of top-up policy, where you get a large bill and therefore it is covered by your top-up policy. But now comes the biggest catch of top-up policies. Let us take a scenario. Let's say your first hospital bill comes out to be 9 lakh rupees. Fine, it is covered by the base policy of 10 lakh rupees. You have still 1 lakh rupee left in that. Now your second bill comes out to be 4 lakh rupees. Now ideally what should happen is that 1 lakh rupee out of this 4 lakh rupee should be taken from your base policy, because there was still 1 lakh remaining in the base policy, and the remaining 3 lakh ideally should come out of top up. But please understand that top ups come with something called as deductible. So let us assume that if your deductible is, let's say, 5 lakh rupees, then in that case your top up won't trigger until you have one single hospital bill that is more than 5 lakh rupees. So in this case of 4 lakh rupee bill, your top up won't trigger because 4 lakh is less than 5 lakh rupee of deductible. Therefore, this 3 lakh you have to pay from your pocket. Now let us assume that you get another bill, bill number 3, which is of 4 lakh rupees. Again, 4 lakh is lower than the 5 lakh deductible. Therefore, again, top up won't trigger. And this 4 lakh you will have to pay from your own pocket. Therefore, top up policy is a totally rip off because you won't need to really go for a top up if you have a sufficient base cover of, let's say, 10 lakh rupee or 15 lakh rupee, because generally in one single hospital bill you are unlikely to get more than 15 lakh rupees of bill. Therefore, top up is not a useful policy feature at all. Do not go for top up policy in my view. Now, in order to solve the top up policy, insurance companies launch something called as super top up. How does super top up work? Super top up definitely is better than top up. Let me show you how it actually works. So let's take an example. You have a base cover of 10 lakh rupees and you take out a super top up policy of 20 lakh rupees, which also comes with a deductible of 5 lakh rupee. So now your total cover should be ideally 30 lakh rupees. Now let us take two scenarios. Scenario number one is you get first bill of 19 lakh rupees. What is likely to happen? Out of the 19 lakh rupees, 10 lakh is covered by your base policy. Happy days. Remaining 9 lakh rupees can be taken from super top up. Exactly same as the top up scenario number one. But now comes scenario number two where top up did not really work out, right? Let us say your first bill comes out to be 9 lakh rupees. So your base cover is there 10 lakh rupees. This 9 lakh will be taken from 10 lakh rupees. No problem. Now your second bill that comes out to be 4 lakh rupee. Now your 1 lakh rupee will be taken from the base cover. No problem. Remaining 3 lakh, your super top up is now useful here because super top up look at the sum of the total bills. So the first bill was 9 lakh rupees. The second bill was 4 lakh rupees. Total is how much? 13 lakh rupees. 13 lakh is more than the 5 lakh deductible. Therefore, your super top up will trigger now. And the 3 lakh rupees that you had a gap will be filled by the super top up. Now, let us say bill third comes again 4 lakh rupees. 9 plus 4 is of course more than 5 lakh rupees. Your super top up will be now useful. You will be able to claim this entire 4 lakh rupee from the super top up, which was not the case in top up because top up looks at one single bill needs to be more than the deductible, which is 5 lakh rupee in our example. Therefore, 4 lakh bill is not going to be triggering the top up. But in case of super top up, the biggest difference is that it looks at the cumulative of the bills. So if you have 3 bills of 9 lakhs plus 4 lakh plus 4 lakh, you're absolutely fine. Super top up will cover you. So definitely super top up is useful than the top up. But comes the $1 billion point here that do you really need super top up? You don't. Because if you remember, I spoke about restoration benefit in point number one. If you had the restoration benefit and if your bill came out to be 9 lakh rupees, out of 10 lakh rupees, then only 1 lakh remaining. This 1 lakh will get restored back to 10 lakh rupees immediately. Therefore, you don't really need a super top up unless your first bill comes out to be more than the base cover amount, which if you gone for a base cover amount of let's say 10 to 15 lakh rupees, then ideally it is not likely to be beneficial. Therefore, in my view, don't go for top up or super top up. Go with a policy that has a restoration benefit. That is the key thing that you need to understand. With that, let's move to number 6, which is copay. Copay simply means you pay, insurance company also pay, but you pay basically. So for example, if you go to Ditto's website, you are going to find this article on copay. Let us say there is a 20% copay in your health insurance policy. What does this actually mean? So let's say if your hospital bill comes out to be 2 lakh rupees, 20% of this 2 lakh rupees, which is 40,000 rupees, you will have to pay from your pocket because you have a copay of 20% in your health insurance policy. So it is extremely simple that whenever you are renewing your policy or taking a new policy, please make sure you ask the insurance agent or the company that I want a policy with no copay terms and conditions. I don't want to pay anything. I'm paying you premium. Therefore, all my hospital bill, you need to take care, Mr. Insurance Company. I'm not going to have any copay terms and conditions. It is as simple as it gets. No copay is what you need to go for. Let's move to the next one, which is number 7, pre and post hospitalization charges. For example, before you get hospitalized, you might undergo few tests, you might undergo hospital visits or OPD consultation. All of that charges will be covered under pre-hospitalization charges. And after you get discharged from hospital, any other test you might need to do after the surgery or hospitalization, or for that matter, any doctor consultation, all of those charges are covered under post-hospitalization charges. In my policy, what do I have? I have 60 days pre-hospitalization duration covered and I have 180 days post-hospitalization charges covered. Now let me speak about pre-hospitalization charges. So in India, medical treatment has become a money-making business. When you go for any treatment, you might want to take a second opinion or sometimes you might want to take third opinion. And therefore, all this preliminary work that you're doing is going to cost you money. Therefore, you need to cover for these. In my policy, I've got 60 days pre-hospitalization charges covered. definitely you need to go for minimum 30 days, if not 60. And in my policy, I've got 180 days post hospitalization charges covered. Therefore, please make sure in your policy you are checking out for what is the duration for pre-hospitalization charges and what is the duration for the post-hospitalization charges. Minimum I would say is go for 30 days pre-hospitalization charges and 60 days post-hospitalization charges. Higher it is, better it is for your policy. With that, let's move to number 8, which is daycare treatment. What is daycare treatment? Daycare treatment is a treatment that needs to be done in a hospital but can be done in less than 24 hours times, meaning that you don't need to really stay overnight in a hospital to be able to do that treatment. Examples: dialysis, appendicitis, they can be done in like 4 to 6 hours or 8 hours. You don't really need to stay in hospital overnight. Now, a lot of insurance policies will only admit your claim if you have been in hospital for at least overnight. That's the condition many insurance policies will have in their policies, and this is where daycare treatment feature comes very handy. You have to have daycare treatment in your policy. Otherwise, God forbid, if you have, for example, pain of appendicitis and doctor says that I can treat it within the 4 to 6 hours time and you can go home within 6 hours time, you have to be able to fulfill it from your insurance policy. Therefore, daycare treatment a must have in my view. Number 9 is hospital network. A lot of health insurance companies will tell you that we have 10,000 plus hospital networks, but what really matters is that where you are living, which town or city you are living, and nearby areas, which are the hospitals your health insurance policy is covering. Please make sure you check out your town, your city. Please make sure big hospitals are covered by your health insurance policy, because there is no use having a hospital network of 10,000 plus, but it doesn't cover what you really need. And also please make sure that you check out the hospital blacklist given by your insurance company, because what if they have blacklisted 1 or 2 hospitals for whatever reasons. Therefore, please make sure here the network size does not really matter here. What really matters is in the city and town that you are living or the nearby cities, what is the coverage that your health insurance company is providing. Therefore, please make sure you do this check as well. Last but not the least, number 10, exclusions. What you see on my screen is the exclusions included in my policy. There are total 7 points, 7 exclusions in my policy. Shorter this list is, better it is for you, because it is important you understand what has been excluded from your policy. Generally, cheaper insurance policies will have a lot of exclusions, so please make sure you're reading it out. Shorter the list, better it is. And here is my last point. One hospital bill can wipe out all your life savings. So do not put yourself in a risk of not having health insurance. Don't delay it any further. You can call Ditto Expert Advisors for a 30 minutes free consultation call and ask yourself what is the best solution for your health insurance needs. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, press the like button. Let me know in the comments a simple thank you. I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, keep rocking.